Hey guys, it's your girl Angel Sharice here, and welcome back to my channel. Alright, in my extra elementary school teacher voice, I have to do it one last time for the one time. Happy Black History Month to you. I just personally love being Black, and I feel like Black History Month should be all year long, especially this year, especially after the 2020 that we had last year, but I don't make the rules. Anywho, if you are here, I know that you probably read that thumbnail and you're thinking 2-year pregnancy, one or two things. Either she's the elephant or this is clickbait. And it's neither. Here to tell you, I am in fact a human. And although I am 1 year postpartum, I had a doctor's appointment last week. And y'all, she informed me that my uterus is still enlarged to the size it would be if I was 3 months pregnant. No, there's no baby in there. No, I'm not pregnant. So why is my uterus still enlarged? I'll tell you. Fibroids. Fibroids are tumors or lumps made of muscle cells and other tissues that grow within the walls of the uterus. And did you know that Black women are 3 times more likely than white women to be diagnosed with uterine fibroids? That's why my uterus is still enlarged, because I have fibroids. Hey, it's Black History Month. We've been talking about Blackness. Why not talk about the black health and Black women's health? I am obviously Black, so I felt like, why not share my story? You know me, you know that I remember dates and times all the time. Like, I don't know why, but I do. I have an itch for that. So, this story begins in December of 2012. When I was 18 years old. And I vividly remember I was at my sister's house, laying in the living room on the couch, and all of a sudden my stomach just started feeling weird. I started feeling what I would describe as butterflies and cramps and nausea. And then it ended with this full feeling. I just had this full sensation that would not go away. In fact, some symptoms of fibroids include heavy or painful periods, bleeding between periods, feeling full in the lower abdomen, aka pelvic pressure. And that's what I was feeling. I had no other symptoms besides that full feeling, and I did notice that my period started to get a little heavier, the slightest bit heavier. Fast forward to May of 2016. In May of 2016, I was 22 years old, and I went to the doctor for one thing. He ended up examining me and telling me that I had one large fibroid. He was just like, well, you have one large fibroid, but you're still pretty young, so it shouldn't be a problem. And I said, okay. At the time, I wasn't that educated on fibroids. Obviously, I just found out what they were 2.5 seconds ago. Fact, more symptoms of fibroids are frequent urination, lower back pain, and reproductive problems, such as infertility, multiple miscarriages, early onset of labor during pregnancy. Fast forward to May of 2019. May of 2019, talking to my homegirl, and she tells me, sis, I'm late on my period, 13 days late. I didn't get my period. So I said to her, well, obviously you're pregnant, so you need to take a pregnancy test. And she was like, all right, but you have to take one with me because I'm scared. So I was like, okay, why not? I wasn't pregnant. I had nothing to worry about. Went to the store, grabbed her the pregnancy test, and there was 2 in the box. She grabbed one, went in the bathroom, took it, put it in her bag, and came out. I went in the bathroom, took mine, put it in my bag, and came out. And I said to her, well, what does yours say? And she took it out, she looked at it, one line. She was like, oh, I'm good. Well, what does yours say? And I'm like, obviously mine is negative. So I have mine in the pocket of my pocketbook, and I like peek in and look at it, and it says yes with a plus mark. I was like, what? I was like, no, this has to be wrong. Has to be wrong. Went straight to Rite Aid, got some more pregnancy tests, went home, took about 4 of them, and they all said the same thing. I was in fact pregnant. Like 3-4 days after I found out that I was pregnant, I started experiencing the worst cramps I've ever had in my life. Like my stomach was on 10. Like not even 10. My stomach was on 1,000,000. What they say in Philly, my stomach was on a beam. Like I don't know what was going on. So that prompted me to go to the ER. Fact. Did you know that the same hormone that causes a baby to grow also increases fibroid growth? And most of that growth is seen within the first 7 weeks of pregnancy. To the ER, first things first, I let them know immediately, like, I'm pregnant and I'm experiencing these pains along with a little bleeding, and they immediately give me an ultrasound. I go to the back to the exam room, and I will never forget that ultrasound technician. She was a Black lady. She was an auntie. I'm going to call her an auntie. And she did the ultrasound. I received an external and an internal ultrasound. And after she did the ultrasound, she looked at me and she said, I don't know what you're thinking about doing, and I don't know who you believe in, but I'm going to pray to my God for you and your baby, because what I see isn't good. And y'all, I feel the tears welling up right now. And y'all, when she said that to me, I just knew in my heart of hearts that my baby wasn't going to make it. And after she said that, y'all, after that ER visit, let the games begin, because things got crazy. I experienced first trimester bleeding. The bleeding along with the fibroids led them to classify me as high risk. I was also put on bed rest in my first trimester, and the fibroid growth was insane. Fast forward to 28 weeks of pregnancy. Around my 28-week mark, I just started feeling like I needed a C-section. Like, I just got this feel. It was just a feeling in my gut that said, you need a C-section. So I went to my very next doctor's appointment, and I started expressing myself, and I'm like, I feel like I need a C-section. I would like a C-section. What is the protocol? What is the procedures for me receiving an elective like C-section? And my doctor said to me, she said, well, you only have 2 fibroids, and we've been checking the position and measuring them because I've received ultrasounds very frequently throughout my pregnancy for that reason. But we've checked the position of them and we've measured them, and we're sure that it's not going to get in the way for delivery. It's nowhere even near where, you know, your cervix, it's not in the way. You'll be fine. And I want you to remember, Angel, that a C-section is a major surgery. So we would like you to at least try to have your baby vaginally if we if we can safely have that happen. So I'm like, she was like, however, your baby is measuring large. So if at 39 weeks you haven't gone into labor and you decide that you want to have a C-section, we'll let you call it at that time based on your son's size. So I said, okay. However, if you remember from my first story time, if you haven't watched it, How I Met My Son, go watch it. We began the induction process and I was unable to dilate past 5. Christopher, please. Please. So did the induction process and I was unable to dilate past 5. I was unable to dilate past 5 centimeters. We now know that one fibroid was blocking my cervix and was causing me not to be able to dilate. Now, fibroid number 2. When they did that first initial lateral incision, and I'll insert a picture of where that incision is supposed to be, it was fibroid number 2. And they were like, what in the world? So in addition to the typical lateral incision, they then cut up. So they cut down and then they cut up. So I have a T incision on my uterus. And when they cut up, it was still more fibroid. So remember back in my first video, once again, shameless plug, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. When she turned him around, she made me push him down into my birthing canal. So while I was getting my C-section, and remember, I said I was numb, but I could still feel, but I could feel, but I could feel. So I could feel them push their hand back up me to push the baby back up. And they like pushed and pulled him out because apparently, well, I now know that there were fibroids that were in the way. And then they counted my fibroids, sewed me up, and sent me over to recovery. And after my C-section, I was in pain. Like, they were telling me, oh, you're supposed to be able to go home the next day, 2 days maybe. And I was still in excruciating pain. Like, it was to the point where they were giving me Percocets in my veins still. And that was the only thing that was helping to subside the pain. So I was in the hospital from Wednesday to Monday. So around Sunday, they started weaning me off of my drugs. And I noticed like the nurse wasn't coming with my meds and the pain is kicking in and I'm pushing the button and I'm asking them to bring it and they're not coming. And I'm in pain and I'm saying to these people, like, I'm in pain. And everybody's acting like I'm crazy, like no one has an idea as to what's going on. So finally, I was by myself and I called my son's father crying, telling him like, what's going on? I'm in pain. And by this point, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. I haven't had medication since like midnight. I don't know what's going on. Nobody's answering me. And he's like, I'm on my way. And he comes in there snapping on his white chicks. Dear Mr. Royal Hampton, I am going to write a letter. Like he came in there on some, dear Mr. President of the hospital. But whatever it was that he said to them, people started moving. People started coming and information started to be shared. So, and doctors come in, and for the first time since I had given birth on Friday, and now it's Sunday, the doctors come in and they're talking to me and they're like, hey mom, so I was the doctor who did your surgery and you have a lot of fibroids, like a lot of fibroids. So I was like, I thought y'all said I only had 2. And she was like, no, 2 was, we were only able to detect 2 via ultrasound, but you have about 27 fibroids inside and outside of your uterus. Fibroids that are stalked on top of each other. It's just a whole lot of. And we suggest, well, it's a lot to take in right now. But when you go to your OB, when you go back for your checkup and your appointment, you guys start to talk about a plan. It's a lot of fibroids though, Mom. So you may want to consider just removing the entire uterus because it's a lot. You're in a significant amount of pain because we cut one of your fibroids. So that fibroid right now is either A, trying to find a new way to live, or B, it's dying. So that's why you're experiencing these large levels of pain. And the drugs that we have you on to treat your pain are high level drugs, opioids, and due to the epidemic, and we just don't want you to be addicted to drugs, we're trying to wean you off. However, we will give you some more pills, but we're not going to give you any more medication intravenously because we need you to be able to leave. So I said, okay. Fact, fibroids are treated with pain medication, gonadotropin, which stop the body from making hormones that cause a period. And they also use anti-hormonal agents to slow down or stop the growth of fibroids. However, once you use that treatment method, you will no longer be able to have children. Then there's surgeries. The first surgery is the myomectomy, and that is to remove the fibroids and it leaves the healthy tissues. The second surgery is a hysterectomy, and that removes the entire reproductive organ. And this is used when the fibroids are large in size or number. Endometrial ambulation destroys the endometrial lining of the uterus and controls heavy bleeding. With this surgery, you cannot have children. So, you guys heard the treatment that was recommended for me, and I was sent home, and 1 year later, here I am. I have just been able to get pain meds. Like I've been surviving off of Tylenol, ibuprofen, a prayer, and a heating pad because I haven't received any treatment within the last year due to COVID. OBGYNs were prioritizing pregnant women, and fibroids weren't an emergency detrimental situation. So no treatment since I gave birth. This may be the first time that you're hearing this, but I guarantee you it won't be the last. I've often heard this said within the Black community, and it kind of went over my head. I didn't really believe it to be true, but time has shown that this is true. What is the saying? What is the phrase that I'm talking about? The cops kill our men, and the healthcare system kill our women and our children. Fact. Women of color are also 2 to 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women. Fact. Most pregnancy-related deaths are preventable. So knowing what I know and living through what I've lived through, I 150% agree with that statement, and that the man gave me fibroids. I'm not saying that the man is out here, just giving people sicknesses and illnesses. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is the way that my healthcare needs were handled, I don't feel as though my needs were seen as a priority or as severe or as a concern to anyone. My discomfort or the way that I'm feeling, I don't think that that was a concern. Knowing what I know, living through what I lived through, I should have died, y'all. I should have been one of the Black women that we hear about. My purple baby, go back and watch that first video. My purple baby, he should have died too, y'all. But God, we know that oftentimes African American people, we have a lack of access to many things, including healthcare. And oftentimes the healthcare that we can afford or the healthcare that we receive that's provided by the government, the practitioners who treat us aren't really there for us. I am a teacher, and I can say that in my field, not every teacher is there for the student. Some teachers just show up for the check. And it's the same thing in the healthcare profession. Not all doctors are there for their patients. Some doctors are just showing up for the check. And more times than not, when we are seen by white providers, it's kind of, I feel like, it's kind of hard for them to see us as human, just based on the images that have been painted about us throughout history for as long as I know of. I mean, since slavery, probably beyond, they don't see us as human. And that causes them to, you know, probably move a little slower when it comes to situations. They don't really hear us voicing our concerns. So, okay, y'all, I'm getting a little choked up. So why am I still alive? What saved me? After thinking about my traumatic delivery, thinking about my health, my pre-existing health conditions, thinking about the God that I serve and just everything, what saved me? Aunt Linda. Who is Aunt Linda? Aunt Linda is one of my son's father's village members. They brought us over to labor and delivery that night. He walked out in the hallway, you know, getting his mind together, I guess having that, oh my goodness, I'm about to be a daddy thought. And when he went out there, he saw Aunt Linda. And Aunt Linda immediately came into the room, and this was the first time I had ever met Aunt Linda. Just a little backstory, my son's father and I have known each other for 6 years. And during my delivery was the first time I met Aunt Linda. And she walked in that room and she just came in there like my guardian angel. I swear I'm about to cry. She walked in that room and she wiped my sweat. She was like, Mama, it's gonna be okay. And she just started telling everybody, every nurse, every doctor, every person on the floor, everyone in the hospital. By the time I made it to the OR, I'm for sure, and that was 26 hours later, everyone knew that the girl in room 312 was Linda's niece. And by the time I got to the OR, it was Linda's niece on that table. Every doctor knew who I was. And for me, that's what saved me. Oh my goodness, I'm about to cry. I just want to publicly say, thank you, Aunt Linda. Thank you, God. For my women out there who are experiencing similar symptoms, who might think, wait, I might have fibroids. How do I know? How do I get checked out? I am going to say you need to do 3 things. You need to research. I just told you all the symptoms. If 1 or 2 or 3 apply, go to your doctor, tell them how you're feeling, tell them, hey, I know these are the symptoms that come along with fibroids. Can you check me out? It doesn't matter if you're 18. Can you check me out? My age doesn't really have any correlation to do with my ability to be diagnosed with certain things. So I would say research. 2, I would say to educate yourself. So while you're doing your research, make sure that you become knowledgeable about what you think you may have. Girl, you might have to be your own Google. And when you go to the doctor, you let them know. Go in there like you know. We done went to medical school together, because truth be told, they be leaving the room and going to Google WebMD. Educate yourself. And last but not least, I would say advocate for yourself. That's where I messed up. Every time the doctors told me something back in 2016 when I found out that I had fibroids, within myself, oh, you're still young, it won't be a problem, wasn't enough for me. I felt as though I should have followed up with it. I should have been more persistent, but I wasn't. I took their word as Bible, and I just was wishing on a star that one day they would fall out. I don't know. Here we are a year later, and I am finally about to receive treatment for my fibroids. So I'm going to take you guys along on this journey with me. If you made it to this end of this video, what are you waiting for? You might as well subscribe this time. Like, seriously. While you're at it, go ahead and click that little bell so you can get a notification every time I upload. Hit the like button and comment down below. Let me know if you know any women with fibroids, or if you have any other questions about the situation. And I can't wait for you guys to come along on this journey with me. Also, follow me on Instagram at angel_Sharice. Can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys. What in the world? I want to turn off.